Next, I have 47, Dyanne Klein. Hello.
Hello. Maybe I'm too close to that. Okay.
So I'll swear you in first.
Okay.
Ms. Klein, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please speak into the mic.
All right. I hear an echo. No? Okay.
So, thank you.
Oops, I hit that. Get this. Not this. But I never got this. Put it on a date different than what this one said. Does he go first? He's waiting for me already. No.
Okay, Mr. Richter, you may proceed.
Thank you. According to the voter list, Ms. Klein registered to vote on September 13th, 2023. According to Exhibit B, Ms. Klein does not appear on the annual street listing. According to Exhibit C, Ms. Klein does not pay vehicle excise tax in Truro. According to Exhibit D, Ms. Klein pays personal property tax, and there is, let's see, Exhibit 47C is a printout from the Boston Assessor database indicating that parcel at 1313 Washington Street, Boston, Mass., which Ms. Klein and Mr. Barry Klegman are the owners, and there's a residential exemption granted and active at this time. Exhibit 47D is a declaration of homestead whereby Ms. Klein and Mr. Klegman stated that they intended to occupy the premises at 1313 Washington Street in Boston as their principal residence, and that was signed on November 30th of 2017. Those are the preliminary facts, and I may have additional questions.
Ms. Klein, do you have an opening statement?
I do. Thank you very much. As you know, my name is Dyanne Klein. I am a retired Massachusetts trial court judge. I've worked as a judge for 25 years and retired in 2015. I do want to say at the outset that I never received the complaint of Mr. Richter. I did receive other papers improperly dated as to when the service was actually made, and I never knew there was a census to the allegation that I'm missing from a street address. My husband and I built our home in Truro in 2008. We've never rented the home. We use it solely for ourselves. It is fully winterized. We've come here over the years all year long. It's used just by us and our children when they come to visit us. We are members of the Stony Hill Association since we built the house in 2008. We spend approximately this is just for myself. I spend approximately 75% of the year in Truro. Winter months, over the past few years, I've spent a couple of months in California, where my oldest son and his family, 3 grandchildren, live. And I've seen them over the winter and been around to do that. During the pandemic, we lived here all the time. And I consider Truro to be my primary home. When I'm here, I think of it, this is my home. There's no question about that. And our children and grandchildren are very attached to Truro. Our youngest son, we have 3 sons. Our youngest son was married this past June 3rd. He got married at the Chequesset Country Club because there was no location in Truro. They are very attached to Truro itself. They wouldn't get married in P-Town. And they got married at Chequesset Country Club with 150 people there. But the night before, we did have a welcome event for 150 people at the Truro Vineyards using a local caterer. I mean, this area, Truro, certainly use P-Town and things in Wellfleet. It is my home. This is where I live. We contract year-round for internet, cable, electricity, pest control, snow plowing, cleaning services, and propane at our Truro address. We purchase appliances only from local stores. We have a landline in our Truro home, which we've had since we've moved in. I have a phone number if you'd like that. We have installed a permanent car charger at our home. We have 1 electric car here in Truro. We utilize Provincetown CVS for all our prescriptions, vaccines. We spend quite a bit at the Stop and Shop as well in P-Town. And I also have for some eye issues, I have a doctor who I've seen repeatedly. He's in Yarmouth, but part of the OCB, I think, are their letters of their, it says OCB Boston, but they're here in Yarmouth and Sandwich, and I've only seen him down here. We've gotten beach permits, trash permits since we moved in 2008. Sorry. We have a Truro post office box where our mail is directed to and received at least 70% of the year, despite the difficulties, and there are difficulties in doing that. We have a Siemens bank account. The mortgage for our Truro home is with Cape Cod 5. Now, we do own a condo in Boston where our son, the one who just got married in June, he and now his wife, they lived there full-time and worked from there January 1st till just last Saturday. We stayed at the condo, I'd say, less than 30 nights. That's a generous, I think, amount throughout the year. I have a middle son who is divorced with an 11-year-old son in Natick. And I can't tell you, Natick, Massachusetts, for people who don't know that, and I can't tell you how many day trips I have made from here to Natick to see soccer games. I don't go to Boston, I go from here and I go to Natick to see his games, or to Hopkinton, or wherever they are. In 2022, my husband and I spent months and months having physical therapy at Select Physical Therapy in Orleans. I am committed to and very, very attached to the Truro community, as well as the adjoining towns, P-Town and Wellfleet, where we obviously use services as well. We've made many friends in Truro through our community activities. I've been a full-year family member for many years at the Pamet Yacht and Tennis Club in Truro, where I play pickleball many days each week, even during the winter, during the pandemic, and before that, we played into February, as long as there was no snow on the ground. I play mahjong there on a weekly basis, sometimes twice a week throughout the year. I'm a member and supporter of Wellfleet Audubon, Palemet Performing Arts Center, Castle Hill Center for the Arts, Truro Fire and Police. I've participated in art classes at the Castle Hill Center for the Arts. Our grandchildren have attended summer camp programs at Palemet Circus Camp, Wellfleet Audubon, and the Chequesset Country Club. I'm a member here of the Truro Recreation, and I've organized pickleball times, private times with friends. I've also been taking private Pilates instruction with a Pilates instructor in North Truro. And all the things I do, I feel it's terrible to be put in a position to have to stand up for something that I consider so natural, that this is where I live and this is where I care about, that is being challenged, and I don't believe it's been challenged in a correct manner, and I didn't get the appropriate document. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have 2 exhibits, and I have copies for both of you. Oh, I'm sorry, I have 1 exhibit. Wait, hold on. So we're missing copies of this. Okay. Do you mind giving them your? So the first exhibit is your voter history, and the second exhibit are your scans from the Truro transfer station. Mr. Richter, did you have questions?
Yes. Just 1 second, please. So, Ms. Klein, you voted in an election in Boston on September 12th of 2023 and then switched your registration to Truro the next day. Could you tell us what changed in that one day?
Objection.
Go ahead. Should I answer that?
So noted.
Oh, I can't answer. Okay. Just checking with my lawyer. Well, first of all, the vote on September 12th was an absentee ballot that was sent out a long time ago. So I think the fact that they're day-to-day doesn't, I know Mr. Richter's making that sound like, oh, one day you did this and one day. It wasn't. It was so long before. When I saw that, I did say I wasn't even aware of that. So, but I had decided, I feel like this is where I am.
So I think that what he asked was what had changed, say, from
Well, from
August.
September 12th to September 13th, nothing. But from whenever I did the absentee ballot, I realized that this is where I am all the time. This is what I consider to be home, and that someone is saying, this is your home or isn't your home, that's just inappropriate.
Okay. Do you have more questions?
The proceedings, I just would remind you about, are about a home for voting purposes. So could you tell us what address you
Object
use?
to that statement.
Pardon me, I didn't interrupt you. May I proceed?
Yes.
Could you share with us which address you use on your personal tax returns?
Objection.
I'm not going to answer that.
And could you share with us where your driver's license address is?
Objection.
I'm not going to answer that.
Are you a member of the Truro Part-Time Resident Taxpayer Association?
Objection.
I'm not going to answer that.
Understood. I don't have any additional facts to present. I just want to highlight a few things for the board as to why I believe Ms. Klein's not domiciled in Truro. First off are all of the 3 preliminary items that we've presented regularly throughout these hearings. In order to build a preponderance of facts, I think it's important to recognize that there is a residential tax exemption active with this individual's name in Boston. It's also important to note that there is a homestead exemption active without any other homestead on record in Barnstable County at their Truro address. Homestead is signed by Ms. Klein on November 30th of 2017. And I just think that the board, should pay attention to the fact that while there may have been an absentee ballot submitted, the election day for that absentee ballot was the 12th of September. and then somehow one day later, someone's civic and social life shifted such that they live in Truro after an extremely lengthy voter history in Boston, in Newton, and then Boston. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I respond?
Sure.
Some of those things are just simply not accurate. We keep hearing about the one day. I believe that was answered. It's just not correct for him to say that she changed her mind after one day. She's given extensive testimony of her ties and testified that she has lived here and considers herself to be a Truro resident. She's been here 70 to 75% of her time, even though the courts tell us that one can be a part-time resident and there is no minimum amount of time that one has to live in a community to be considered to be domiciled there. The residential tax exemption, again, the case law says that's not determinative of anything. The homestead being active, I think we all understand, it gets filed and it sits there. It's not active or inactive, and it was sitting on there since 2017. Again, the court cases tell us that is not determinative. She has extensive ties. Her trash transfer station records that you produced show that she uses it many months of the year, not just July and August. Again, even if the amount of time once spent was determinative, which it is not.
Thank you.
I do want to say that the transfer station, we have 2 cars that we keep here. One stays here all year round. It's very old, but we keep it here. I have another car that my son used all during this year that is back in Boston right now, but we have 3 different transfer permits. So I don't know if, every day I know, once the off-season, it's only opened on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So since when you could see that we go almost every day. Now, I don't know, the reason I'm raising that is because I don't know whether this is one car or this is all 3 of our stickers. So I want to raise that because a day doesn't go by. Oh, this is the electric car. This is just the electric car. The old car is not on here, but we have a pass on that. I have 3 permits, which I would assume you could find that out, just like you could pull this up.
So you do have 3 listed on here. One starts with a 4, one starts with a 9, and one starts with an EV.
One starts with, yes, 4. Yes, one starts with a 9. I'd have to look at my phone to give you the exact ones, but yes, yes.
And so your trips to the transfer station were between May 16th and October 23rd.
Well, we were here in April. I don't know what happened. I mean, we don't have pickup.
I'll just say the exhibit says it's just for the plate EV.
Okay, so were you using the transfer station before April?
Before April, no, we were in California.
Okay.
I was in California January, February, March this year.
I'm going to open it up to questions from the board. Heather, do you have any questions?
Yeah, everything you say I appreciate, and it definitely appears that Truro is where your main life is based. I just wanted to know, is there any intention of changing any of the Homestead Act, the excise tax, the car registrations, anything to Truro?
Yeah. You know, my husband has his decisions to make, and then I have mine. And so I just, otherwise that's all I would say about that. And we are 2 separate people.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, I didn't really understand your answer. What do you mean about being 2 different people? Were you referring to something specific?
I shouldn't answer that. My lawyer says I shouldn't answer that.
Well, I guess I'm just asking you to clarify the answer you gave because I didn't fully understand it.
I'm here just to testify on my own behalf, not to speak to anything my husband may or may not do.
I think maybe you misunderstood. The question wasn't about your husband. I was asking if you had any intention of registering your vehicles in Truro or changing your homestead or any of that type of thing that you would do when you make some place your primary residence.
Right. Definitely the car, I would consider that may be something. And I don't know, I haven't worked that out yet. But this is definitely where I am and where I live. And I am very upset that someone has challenged that, especially in the manner in which it was done. But I won't get into that.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Julie, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay. My only question was, I'm not sure I understood something you said correctly. So you're saying that your son and his wife live in your condo in Boston, but then I thought you said something like until this past Saturday.
They did. They moved to.
Speaking of-
Sorry. They just moved to Dallas to live with my daughter-in-law's in-laws for a while. They're deciding where they're going to move at some point, but
Okay.
they basically stayed there and used a car. And
Okay, I just wasn't
we
sure
were
if I
here.
misheard
We were
you.
in either California or we were here.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions. Again, I think this is a situation where someone is dividing their time between two places, and you do have to choose one or the other as your primary domicile. It sounds like Ms. Klein is very involved in social activities here and various organizations. Generally you don't do things like go to a series of physical therapy appointments somewhere unless you live there. So I am leaning towards keeping her on the voter roll.
I would agree with that.
I agree with that.
Okay, I'll make a motion. I move, based upon the testimony provided today by Dyanne Klein and the documents from the objector and the Board of Registrars entered into evidence, that the complainant has failed to demonstrate facts, that Dyanne Klein is improperly registered in Truro, and further, that this challenge be dismissed. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.